Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Purity and today we are crocheting this beautiful cardigan with different shades of yarn, and I used the Alpine stitch to crochet it, and I did ribbing here at the wrist area, and the rest is done using the Alpine stitch. I hope you'll enjoy making this tutorial with me. Kindly subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and I also love reading your comments. So let's get started with the work. This is the close-up of this cardigan, and to crochet this cardigan we will start with the back panel and then the two front panels and then the sleeves, and finish up with the ribbing at the sleeves, ribbing below the cardigan and the ribbing at the front panels, and then we will put the buttons. Okay, we are using 100% acrylic yarn, and I'll use different shades of yarn. I use blue, I'll use green, and it's just typically shades of blue and green. I wanted to use pink, but I thought it would be too much, so we're using shades of blue and green. You'll need stitch markers, a tape measure to take your measurements, you'll need a pair of scissors, and I'm crocheting using a 3.5 mm hook. This is all you'll need for this project. Okay, to begin, this is still a 3.5 mm hook. We are beginning by making a slip stitch, and this is how I make my slip stitch. And we are going to chain as long as your shoulder to shoulder measurements is, and my shoulder to shoulder measurement is 17 inches, and I'm chaining up to 17 inches. Please take your measurements using a tape measure and chain as long as your shoulder to shoulder measurements is. I am done with the chains, and to begin the second row, chain one more chain, and we are doing a row of single crochets across all the chains that you have done, and this is how we do single crochets. And once you're done with the single crochets across all the chains, I will meet you to start row 2. I am done with the first row of single crochets. Second row is a row of double crochets. So you will chain 2, turn your work, and we are doing a row of double crochets. You yarn over and always keep this first stitch when working with double crochets. So you start working from the second stitch, and we are doing double crochets across all the stitches that you have. I will meet you at the end of the row. And please note, we are working with the Alpine stitch at the back panel, so I will meet you once you're done with your second row of double crochets. Okay, I am done with row 2, and row 3 is a row of single crochets. So you chain 1, turn your work, and with single crochets you start working from the first stitch here. So just go in this first stitch and do a single crochet like that, and we are working single crochets across all the stitches that you have, and I will meet you at the end of this row of single crochets. Okay, we are done with our last stitch, and to begin the next row you chain 2. It's going to be a row of double crochets and front post. We will alternate between front posts and double crochets. That's how we work on the Alpine stitch. So you yarn over, and the first stitch here we are going to start with a front post like that. Then again you yarn over, and the next stitch is going to be a double crochet. Remember to create the Alpine stitch is a combination of the front post and double crochet. So the second stitch was a double crochet, the third stitch is going to be a front post like that. The next stitch is a double crochet like that. The next is a front post, and please remember to always yarn over before beginning a front post or a double crochet, and we're going to work like that, alternating between front post and double crochets until we get to the end of our row, and I'll meet you at the end. I am done, and this is how my first row looks. To begin the next row, you'll chain 1. It's going to be a row of single crochets. Chain 1, and please note with single crochets you start crocheting from this first stitch here, and you're just going in and doing single crochets across all the stitches that you have, and I will meet you at the end of the row. I am done, and we are now beginning the next row. So you will chain 2. It's going to be a row of front post and double crochets. So note the difference. For front post and back post we chain 2, for single crochets we chain 1. So chain 2, turn your work, always keep this first stitch, and here we started with the front post, so we will begin now with a double crochet like that. Yarn over, and here the next stitch was a double crochet, so we'll go in like this and make a front post. Where there was a front post you'll put a double crochet, and where there was a double crochet you'll put a front post. The next stitch was a front post, so you'll put a double crochet. The next here was a double crochet, so we'll go in the double crochet and make a front post, and the next was a front post, so we will make a double crochet. So that is the pattern. We are alternating between double crochets and front post. Where there was a front post you'll put a double crochet, where there was a double crochet you'll go in the double crochet and put a front post. So this is how we create this Alpine stitch, and we are going to work like this, alternating between front post and double crochets and single crochets until your work reaches your waist area or wherever you want it to begin. Okay, so this is the pattern, and we are going to work like this until your work fits your back measurements well. So before we finish, we are here at the end, and you see the end here, there's no way I can go in with a front post. So at the end here you can just always do 2 double crochets like that, then you chain 1, and now we are beginning a row of single crochets. And with single crochets we always begin from the first stitch. I hope this is clear, and we are going to work like this until your cardigan fits you well from the shoulder areas all the way to your waist area. I will meet you once you are done. I went ahead and did few rows, and this is how my work looks. And I want to bring in the green yarn. I want to show you how we are doing the green yarn. So with the green yarn, I'm bringing it in at the single crochet row. So I just want to start with my single crochet row, cut off the blue yarn, bring in the green yarn like this, and when we are doing the single crochet row, insert your hook like that, and now we'll pick in the green yarn like this, and this is how we bring in the green yarn. And we're going to do a row of single crochets, and I'll also carry along all my yarns so that my work is much neat and it doesn't need a lot of stitching in when you have finished your work. So we're just doing a row of single crochets like this, and please remember to carry your yarn along. So this is how we bring in the new yarn, and we're going to continue the pattern. As you can see, it's neat at the other side. We're going to continue the pattern like that until you finish your work. Okay, so once you're comfortable enough, you can just leave the other yarn hanging around. You will stitch them in once you are finished with your work. And now we're just continuing with normal single crochets as usual, and at the end of the row we will chain 2 to begin the new row, which is front post and normal double crochets. So I will meet you once you are done. I am done, and to begin the next row you chain 2, turn your work, and it's going to be a row of normal double crochets and front post. Here we started with the front post, so we are going in with a normal double crochet like that. Always remember to skip the first stitch though. The next stitch is going to be a front post because we did a normal double crochet there, so it is a front post like that. And the next stitch is going to be a normal double crochet. So remember, we are alternating between normal double crochets and front posts. I will meet you once you are now done with your back panel. I am done with my back panel, and this is how it looks. I went ahead and just play around with colors, which is blue yarn and green yarn. And for my back panel, I did it a bit short because I want the ribbing to be long and I want my cardigan to reach at the waist. This is how long it is. Yeah, and now we want to begin working on the front panels. To work on the front panels, please do not cut off your yarn once you finish working on the back panel. You'll just fold your garment into 2 like this. Remember, we are now starting to work on the front panels, so fold your back panel into 2 like this. Make sure it's well aligned, and then you will fold it again in the second half. In short, we are folding your back panel into 2 halves, okay? That is how we find the perfect measurements for your front panel. And then you will take your stitch markers. You'll need to have a pair of stitch markers. Open your stitch marker and place it on the outer side, which is here. This is where you place the first stitch marker. And then take the second stitch marker and place it in the inner side, which is at the corner where the two were folded, like that. That is how you get the perfect measurements for your front panels. And then you will release your work and it should look like this. Okay, so we are going to start working on the front panels now. So to begin the front panel, the next stitch will be a front post, so you just chain one, and now will be a row of single crochets. So you chain one and you're doing a row of single crochets until you get to the first stitch marker, and I will meet you once you are at the stitch marker. Okay, we are the stitch marker, so you remove the stitch marker and do the last single crochet where the stitch marker was, like this. And now this is our turning point. You chain two, turn your work, and you are beginning a row of front posts and normal double crochet. So you yarn over, and the first stitch here is going to be a front post. So go inside that double crochet and do a front post, and the next stitch is going to be a normal double crochet, and we are just working the same way we have worked with the back panel, but now we will be turning from here now. Okay, so I'll meet you at the end of your work. We are done with this row. To begin the next row, it is a row of single crochets. Chain one, turn your work, and we are doing a row of single crochets from this side all the way to here, and this is going to be the pattern until the front panel is the same length with the back panel. If you fold your work like this, it should be the same length with this back panel. So I will meet you once you're done with this first front panel. Okay, it's the same pattern that you have been working with at the back panel. I am done, and this is how my work looks. You can see it's the same as the back panel, and now we want to begin on the second front panel. So you'll cut off your yarn, and we are going to reattach our yarn here at the stitch marker. This is where we will reattach our yarn, and we will work the same way we did with this other front panel, and it should be the same length as this other front panel. Okay, I went ahead and did the other front panel, and this is how my work looks. Now we have a back panel and two front panels. We'll put this aside and we will work on the sleeve. I worked on one of the sleeves off camera, but I will show you how we work on this sleeve. To get your arm measurements, take your tape measure and measure your upper arm, the circumference of your upper arm. That will be the width of your arm area, and please also measure from your shoulder area all the way to your wrist area. That will be your length of your cardigan. And we are going to do the same thing, which is front post and back post and single crochets until your cardigan fits from your shoulder area all the way to your wrist area. And please remember to leave 2 inches for the ribbing at the wrist area. This is my sleeve, and this is how long I chained. I didn't want it to be so long. And now we want to start working on the ribbing at the sleeve area. Okay, this is how long I worked with the sleeve area. And to begin on the ribbing, you will work on the single crochet row. So chain one more chain, and this is the single crochet row, and now we are going to chain 20 stitches. Just after you're done with your single crochet row, we will chain 20 stitches. That is for the ribbing at the wrist area. So I will meet you once you're done with your 20 stitches. I am done, and these are 20 stitches, and now we are going to do a row of single crochets across all the 20 stitches that you have, and I will meet you at the end of the row once you are done doing the 20 single crochets. Okay, I am done with the single crochets, and now we are here, and skip this first stitch. Always skip this first stitch. Go to the second stitch and do a slip stitch like this, and go to the next stitch, do a slip stitch, and the next stitch, do a slip stitch. So you skip the first stitch and do 3 slip stitches. Okay, then you turn your work, and you're going to skip the 3 slip stitches that you did. Skip those 3 slip stitches and go in the single crochet stitch, and we are working with single crochets in the back loop only, like this. Okay, remember we are working with single crochets in the back loop only, and this is how we work the single crochets in the back loop only. And you're going to work single crochets in the back loop only across the 20 stitches that you made, and I will meet you at the top of your work. I am done with the first row. Chain 1, turn your work to begin the new row, and remember we are working with single crochets in the back loop only, and we will work like this. I will meet you once you are done with this row so that I show you again how we do decreases at the wrist area. Okay, we are here and we are doing the next reduction. Always keep that stitch, go to the next one and do a slip stitch, the second slip stitch, and go to the next one and do another slip stitch. So remember, you skip the first stitch, then you go ahead and do 3 slip stitches, turn your work, skip the 3 slip stitches that you have done, and go and do single crochet in the back loop only at the rest of the stitches that you have. Okay, so this is how we work with single crochets in the back loop only, and we're going to work like that all the way to the top. And please remember, once you're at the top, chain 1, turn your work to begin a new row of single crochets in the back loop only, and that is the pattern, and you're going to work like that until you're done with the wrist area. Okay, I am done with my sleeve, and this is how it looks. You should have something like this. Okay, so go ahead and make the other sleeve and also do the ribbing of the sleeve, and by now you should be having your sleeve like this, and there should be 2 identical sleeves with the ribbing. This is how the ribbing looks, and the rest of the hand. So you should be having 2 identical sleeves. You can play around with colors like I did. You should have a back panel and 2 front panels. Okay, and now we want to join everything together, and we will begin with the sleeves. To join the sleeve, we're going to place it like this and make sure everything is well aligned, and then we will join using single crochets. Remember, you can use a darning needle. Okay, this is how we are going to join our sleeve. You'll fold it into 2 like this. Take your stitch marker, make sure it's well aligned before you put your stitch marker, and you're going to put your stitch marker at this corner. So the stitch marker will go on this corner like this, just making sure everything is well aligned. Put it here, and you're going to bring it here. This is where we started the first row of the front panel. That is where we're going to join the stitch marker on the first row of the front panel. So put it here like this and lock it in. This is the best way to find the accurate measurements where to join the sleeve to the front panel. Please remember, it's on the first row of the front post. That is where we are joining in using a stitch marker, and this is how your work should look. Okay, and then we will fold your work like this, and now we are going to join it together using a darning needle or a hook. I am using my hook, and to join I am using single crochets to join. Okay, so reattach your yarn at the end here, and we are using single crochets to join the sleeve to the front panel. So this is how we join our work, and as I said, we are using single crochets to join. And please note, you are going in each stitch like this and just finish it up by doing a single crochet, and we're going to join everything together, this sleeve and the other sleeve, and then we will join the rest of the body together. So I will meet you once you have everything joined in. And kindly note, we are using single crochets to join, or you can go ahead and use your darning needle. I am done joining everything together, and this is how my work looks. I hope yours looks the same too. And all this yarn hanging around, we will stitch them in using a darning needle once we are done. And these are the sleeves. This is how they look. And now we want to work on the ribbing at the waist area, okay? And the ribbing at the waist area, we're just going to work the same way we did with the ribbing at the wrist area. So we're going to reattach our yarn here, and then we will chain. For the waist area, I chained 40 because I wanted my waist ribbing to be quite big. Sorry, I chained 50 because I wanted my waist ribbing to be quite big. So I'm just first going in with chaining 50 chains, then using the same ribbing that we used for our wrist area. That's the same way we're going to work with the waist ribbing. So now we are chaining 50. Once you're done chaining 50, you're going to go down using a row of single crochets across all the 50 chains that you have, and I'll meet you once you're done with this first row of single crochets, so I can show you again how we do the reduction down here. Okay, I'm at the end here, and we are doing the ribbing now. So let me zoom in so you can see clearly what I'm doing. Okay, so to do the ribbing, please always remember to skip this first stitch. Always skip it. Go to the second stitch and do a slip stitch. And remember, we are doing 3 slip stitches. So do the first slip stitch, the second slip stitch, and the third slip stitch right here. Once you're done with the 3 slip stitches, turn your work, skip the 3 slip stitches, and we are working with single crochets at the back loop only across all the chains that you had. Okay, it's just the same ribbing that we did at the wrist area. So we are going to work like that until you're done with your work, and I will meet you once you are done. And please note, to begin the new row, you always chain 1, turn your work, and then you begin doing the single crochets in the back loop only until you get to the bottom, and at the bottom you skip the first stitch, do 3 slip stitches, then single crochets in the back loop only again. Okay, so this is the second row, and as I said, you always chain 1 like this, turn your work, and we are working with single crochets in the back loop only until we get at the bottom of our work. Then we will do 3 slip stitches. After you've skipped 1, do 3 slip stitches, and that is the pattern until you are done. So I will meet you once you're done with your waist ribbing. I am done with my waist ribbing, and this is how my work looks. It is so pretty. I love it. And now we want to work at the ribbing on the front panels, and then we will be done. So to work on the ribbing on the front panels, we are going to do first a row of single crochets from this ribbing all the way to the neck area, all the way to the other side. So the first row is a row of single crochets, and please do not cut off your yarn after your last ribbing at the waist area. So we'll just continue like this with a row of single crochets all round the neck area up to the other side, and I will meet you once you are done with the row of single crochets. Once you get here to the row of the Alpine stitch, just do one single crochet inside the stitch like this, on top of the stitch and inside the stitch. So it's quite easy to do that, and I will meet you once you're done with this first row of single crochet. Once you are done with the row of single crochet, the rest of the stitches are double crochets. Okay, first row, this is the single crochets, then you'll go ahead and do rows of double crochets. Okay, this is how my work looks. I did one row of double crochet, and I'm going to do more rows of double crochet. Remember, it was first single crochet, then now we are doing 5 more double crochets, just normal rows of double crochets, and then you'll go ahead and put buttonholes and buttons. I'm hoping this is clear. It is first single crochets, then 5 rows of normal double crochets, and please remember to put buttons and buttonholes. And this is how my work looks. I love it so much. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and this is how my cardigan looks. It's so colorful and I feel it's so trendy and I love it. And this is the outcome of our beautiful cardigan. You can call it a cardigan or a jacket. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Kindly subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and I also love reading your comments. This is how the cardigan looks on me. I will see you on my next tutorial. Goodbye.